After Jesus' birth in Bethlehem of Judea, during the reign of King Herod, astrologers from the east arrived one day in Jerusalem inquiring, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We observed his star at its rising and had come to pay him homage." At this news, King Herod became greatly disturbed, and with him all Jerusalem. Summoning all of the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. In Bethlehem of Judea, they informed him, "Here is what the prophet has written, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the princes of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Herod called the astrologers aside and found out from them the exact time of the star's appearance. Then he sent them to Bethlehem after having instructed them, "Go and get detailed information about the child. When you have discovered something, report your findings to me, so that I may go and offer him homage too." After their audience with the king, they set out. The star, which they have observed at its rising, went ahead of them until it came to a standstill over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, found the child with Mary, his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their coffers and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They received a message in a dream not to return to Herod, so they went back to their own country by another route. Verbum Domini.
Laus tibi Christe.
Let us all be seen. Your Excellency, Florentino Sinense, Bishop Emeritus of Tarlac, and brothers and sisters, today we celebrate the solemnity of the Epiphany of the Lord, commonly referred to as the Feast of the Magi or the Three Kings. We have seen in the past Sundays how we can assure the salvation of our souls. In simple words, it says we just have to make sure that we are inside the Catholic Church. And so the whole liturgy of the Mass, beginning from Advent up to Christ the King, had shown us these three important truths. First, where is the Catholic Church? Secondly, how do we enter the Catholic Church? And thirdly, how can we know that we are truly inside the Catholic Church? We cannot get the answer to these three questions just by guesswork. We have to have proofs that this is the Catholic Church, that this is the way to enter, and that we are truly inside the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church was first instituted by God in the Garden of Paradise, and its first members were Adam and Eve. But because Adam and Eve did not fulfill their obligation, they were kicked out of paradise and brought down to earth, which is a place of testing. And when they were on earth, because of their fallen human nature, they were committing sin left and right. So the whole idea is, if we are inside the Catholic Church, we live in grace, and so we sin less, and therefore our salvation is assured. While on the other hand, if we are outside, then we often commit evil things, which puts our souls in danger. So the Masses after Advent answers these three questions. Where is the church? How do we enter the church? And how can we know for certain that we are inside the church? And this question had been answered by the example of Joseph and Mary during the feast of the Holy Family, and the commemoration of the shepherds, and today in the commemoration of the three magi who found Jesus Christ. Now, what these three persons, what did they do that they found Christ? And how come the rest of the Jewish people did not find Christ? Saint Thomas of Aquin says, well, Joseph, Mary, the shepherds, and the Magi did three things. And if we do exactly these three things, we can find ourselves inside the Catholic Church, assured with the salvation of our souls. First, what are the commandments of Christ? That's the first thing you must know. The commandments of God as found in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Secondly, do we believe that these are the commandments of God and not merely the commandments of man? And thirdly, do we obey the commandments of God? So we see Joseph and Mary, they knew the commandment of God that the Messiah was one day going to come down to earth. They knew. And secondly, they believed that the Messiah was going to be born. And so Joseph and Mary waited for the birth of the Messiah. And thirdly, when the Messiah was born and they received commands, Mary, the command to be the mother of God, Joseph, to receive Mary as his wife, they obeyed the commandments of God, knowing precisely that they were commandments of God and not by mere man. Look at the shepherds. They did exactly those three things. They believed the Messiah was coming, and so while waiting and watching over their sheep, they were waiting for the Messiah until they heard a command from angels that the Messiah has been born and to look for him in swaddling clothes, and they obeyed, knowing the command came from God, and they found the Messiah. Look at the Magi, the three wise men. They were followers of Balaam, who was not a Jew. They were Gentiles. They were non-Jewish people. Balaam, though he was not a prophet of God, had made a prophecy, and it's written in scriptures, that a virgin will give birth and he will have his own star. It's not going to be one of the stars of the constellation that will point to the birth of Jesus Christ. It is going to be a star that belongs to him, Balaam said. And the Magi were wise men who followed the teachings of Balaam, so they knew that one day when the star of Christ appears, they would know the Messiah was born. And true enough, one day they saw the star and they obeyed. Now notice there is a little difference between the shepherd and the Magi. The shepherd were commanded by angels, while the Magi were commanded by a star. So the same lesson comes and takes place among Catholics. The commandments of God will come to Catholics in the form of a preacher, an angel, an emissary from God, or from sacred scriptures, which comes from the apostles who are the messengers of God. But for non-Catholics, the message of God will come in the form of signs, like stars and other signs. And so here we have the example given to us during this Christmastide season on how to enter the Catholic Church. First, we must know the commandments of Christ. Second, faith. We must believe that these are commandments of God and not the commands of mere man. Commands of God. And thirdly, we must obey those commands. Now, how can we be sure now we are inside the Catholic Church? That every time we look at Christ, we are not going to see a mere man. When we look at the Holy Eucharist, we are not going to see mere bread. What we're going to see is the very God who is going to judge us when we die. So today, as we celebrate the Epiphany of the Lord, the word Epiphany means manifestation, meaning to say, Christ will only show himself as God to you. Epiphany, if you have done those 3 steps. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.